welcome everyone to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It's Monday, November 14th, 2022. It's 4 o'clock and we're in the Carson City Community Center in the Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. With that, can I get a roll call, Linda?
Mike Jones,
Here.
Bobby Rader, Stacy Giomi,
Here.
Steve Kim,
Here.
Steve Reynolds. We have a quorum.
Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'll ask for any public comment. I don't see anyone out there, so we'll move on to item 5. Possible action and approval of minutes for the October 10th, 2022 CTA board meeting. Any member of the board have any revisions, corrections, additions to the minutes of October's meeting? Hearing.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on to the consent agenda now. Again, I don't see anyone from the public here, but I'll ask if any member of the board has any individual item they'd like to see pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed here today. If not, I can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, that moves to item 9, discussion and possible action to approve the CTA fiscal year 2022 annual audit report and financial statement. I know, David, you're going to lead this, but clean audit, no exceptions, no, couldn't ask for much better. Thank you, Chris.
No, Chris did an amazing job. And we do have Nikki Nealon on, you can see her on the screen there. So I'm going to introduce Nikki from Casey Nealon and let her hit the highlights on the audit for the board's consideration. Nikki, can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, David. And I appreciate that you allowed me to present through WebEx today. Unfortunately, I've been home for the past 2 weeks with COVID. So tomorrow actually ends my last day of isolation. So I'll be happy to get out into the world tomorrow. As noted earlier, it is a clean opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that we can provide on a set of financial statements. And I would really like to express my appreciation to Chris and David for all of the help that they gave us through the audit process. I can tell you, you couldn't ask for a more responsive team. So we really appreciate that assistance and in making sure that the financial statements are complete and accurate. For one of the highlights, I guess it's a highlight, if you will, we did have a change in reporting this year. So there was a new governmental accounting standard, GASB 87, which is a lease accounting standard. It requires us to capitalize a right-of-use lease asset and put a corresponding liability on the books for the present value of the asset and the liability. We do then have to amortize the asset and then also record essentially principal and interest on the lease. So that is a new standard that was implemented in the current year. It did have an impact on your opening fund balance, or sorry, net position, to the tune of about $19,000. But it was considered immaterial for the audit. For purposes of the statement of net position that is shown on page 8 of your financial statements, total assets were $2.97 million. Of that, 2.4 is in cash and investments. And the right of use lease assets was put on the books at $128,000 at the end of the year. The Current liabilities, total liabilities were 1.4 million. So you actually have a current position of approximately 1.5 million. Net position, which is essentially the equity of the authority, $1.2 million. For the year, room tax revenue was 2.8 million. Interest income was 22,000. There were operating grants and contributions of $28,000 and expenses of 2.2 million. So the increase in net position for the year was $591,000. We did see we did see an increase in the transient lodging taxes in the current year, which is to be expected given the changes in the COVID restrictions. So the transient lodging taxes increased from 2.1 million to 2.8 million from 2021 to 2022. All in all, a strong year for the authority, and happy to report a clean opinion.
Yeah, a good story for the authority. Any questions or concerns with the audit report? Board Member Giomi?
Just a question, not a concern, Nikki. On the new right to use leased asset requirement, if we were to, is it based off of stated value of the lease, or stated value of the property? I guess I'm wondering if down the road we're lucky enough to acquire use of a space at a $1 a year lease, for instance. How would that be affected, or how would that affect this whole thing?
I would have to get back to you on a below market lease. We've been really focused on just the existing leases now. What happens is you look at the cash flow of the lease and you discount that down to present value. And it's a little different for office space because there really isn't a value, if you will. If we're looking at a piece of equipment that you're leasing, there's normally a value for the equipment, and so there's an imputed interest rate in the lease that we would use. So essentially what we've been using for the buildings for leased assets are either treasury rates or prime rate. So those have been fairly low, which has resulted in not a huge amount of discounting. As interest rates go up, that could change significantly. But essentially, the discount is based on your incremental borrowing rate, which normally for a governmental entity, because there's a stream of income to secure the debt payments, is normally fairly low.
Okay, I just wondered if we happen to get into, so a shared lease or a shared use agreement really wouldn't apply. In other words, if we had a shared agreement with the city to use space at no cost, that wouldn't be considered a lease then. It's a shared use agreement.
It is possible that the city might allocate a portion of the lease to you, but that would be a conversation to have with the city. We're working on some funds of the state and they allocate their leases amongst their funds. So that would be a question really to enter into with the finance department at Carson City if that opportunity came up as to whether they would allocate anything to the authority.
Okay, well, I mean, we have agreements currently that allowed for shared use, so might be something that we have to look into. It's an interesting requirement. And I'm sure there's more to be learned, so.
It is an interesting requirement, and I'm not sure I understand the benefit of it. As I've worked through a lot of these lease situations this year, a lot of what's now going on the balance sheet was being disclosed anyway, and so I'm not sure that it provides a huge benefit to the reader, but I'm sure for larger organizations that have lots of leases, there's a benefit to it. Interestingly enough, I did some research with other states, and the state of Arizona is not capitalizing anything that's under $500,000. State of California under 100,000 for state agencies, not for standalone governments, but for state agencies. So there's a lot of decisions being made about the materiality of various different leases at a management level.
And would that be a policy we could enact to not count a lease? Or would it be, it would go
Well,
against,
It would be a materiality question.
Okay.
So for the state of California, obviously their materiality is fairly high.
yeah,
Yours is fairly low, and so $128,000 was significant
you're right.
for your financial statements.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? David? Chris?
No, I would just say thank you to Nikki and your team. I think they were great to work with again this year, and huge props to Chris and Linda and our staff, our program managers, for the new kind of accounting procedures that we have internally and coming along with those to make things easier by the day for Linda and Chris for invoice processing. So I think they all did a wonderful job.
Well, thank you, Nikki. I'm glad you're on the mend.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. That moves us on to item 10.
Mike, you'll need to,
Oh, sorry.
we need a
We have
motion
to actually
yes.
have a
correct.
motion to approve.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Carson City Cultural and Tourism Authority's audit report and financial statements for fiscal year '22.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thanks for keeping me on track.
Question.
Sure.
David, do we have any kind of goal or objective with our ending fund balance?
Yes. We're trying to make it to a full year. That is the goal. And I think when we put our budget together in May, I want to say we were at 331 days or some plus or minus. We're close, but that's the goal. I'd like to have 1 year's worth of operating expenditures if possible. So, and I think we'll achieve that, I do believe, when we put together the fiscal '24 budget. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Get better. Thanks for being on
Thank
the
you.
WebEx.
I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you. Now we can move on to item 10, the monthly non-action items, discussion only. David?
Thank you, Chair. You just couldn't wait to get to the Executive Director report this month. 10A will be my report for the board. So I'll let you all know, we did, through the second cycle marketing grant program with the Commission on Tourism, the Territory Advisory Committee met last week. So if you recall, I kind of talked through in detail what was included. It was roughly about $21,000 that was recommended to move forward to the December 8th Commission on Tourism meeting. So I will let you all know next month with the final approval on that front. Second project, which I'm excited about. So Deborah did a great job finalizing the Cultural Corridor project submission for Travel Nevada's Destination Development 3D program. So we proposed an arts and heritage trail that would connect and market art, culture, history, heritage in the different destinations between Virginia City, Carson City, and Carson Valley under kind of a one brand theme. And Deborah has some experience with this up in Canada. And we had a lot of support through the letters of commitment, the letters of support as well in the three communities. So we're one of 16 applicants for 6 basic project approvals, right? And there's $2 million in funding available for these projects. As we get through, if we're selected, then we'll go into a whole build out a plan stage with third-party vendors that are under contract with Travel Nevada and Division of Tourism. So we'll know about that on the 8th as well at that commission meeting. So my fingers are crossed. So I think we put a great project together, and great job, Deborah, on that. I thought I should give you all a quick V&T update as well as the representative from this board. We sold out Polar Express in October, and that was adding Wednesdays, I might add. So I'm very excited about that. Our waiting list right now is about 3,400 people deep. Yeah, so if you're just coming on, it's a long road to go, but I find that to be incredible, quite frankly, where we're at with that, and that again, adding Wednesdays. You all should have received your email if you're able to be on one of the partner trains Thursday night. We have the 6:30 and the 8 o'clock. So if you're able to come out, fantastic, thank you. And then update for everyone. So our train service operating agreement with Mr. Gray, so VNT, Virginia Truckee Railroad, expires at the end of December. And we are in the midst of finalizing what I hope will be a 5-year future agreement with Mr. Gray. So I want to thank Stephanie Hicks and Clay Mitchell. They were actually the two that could work and advocate on behalf of the commission, since we can kind of only work in groups of two to take the lead on the negotiations. So we'll have a draft coming back for us on the 30th, which is our next commission meeting. But I'm excited that Tom has come around for at least a 5-year agreement, and then we're going to have a, I'm not sure what the clause is, Todd could probably jump in, but basically if he were to sell the operation, we could continue moving forward with whoever purchases that, so there wouldn't be like a break in service. So we're working on negotiating that as well. So I don't know, Todd, what that would be called, but if Mihaela were here, she would probably go, oh, it's this. But anyway,
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I understand what you're trying to
yeah,
say.
you know where I'm going. Yeah.
Right to purchase for?
Well, yeah, but Tom's looking for about 36 million
Yeah, well,
for all of the assets up there. So we would need to go through a whole new, oh my gosh, I can't think of what that is, where you a whole valuation of the operations, the assets. And
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he thinks it's very valuable, so.
yeah, yes, agreed. So yeah, a quick VNT update for everybody. Last week, so I was really proud to moderate a panel at the Trails Transportation and Tourism Summit in Reno. It included our very own Lydia Beck. We had Open Space Manager Lindsay Boyer, Trails Coordinator Greg Berggren, and then Nate Harrison from Muscle Powered. And they did great. Our session was called Creating Synergy Between Trails and Tourism. So we walked through 4 different case studies for the folks that were in attendance. And again, it was a lot of fun, and we've actually, Lydia and I have been asked to be a part of the planning for the next summit. So I think some good has come out of that, and working on pushing the emphasis back toward tourism. So we were excited. It was a great conference. Unfortunately, with our schedules, I was really only able to be there on Wednesday, but I liked what I heard during the sessions on that day. And I don't know that a lot of people even know, that this summit was going on, quite frankly, because there's also an international trails symposium that will ironically be taking place in April in Reno as well. And that brings people in from around the world. So I think it's great. We know we have a great trail system here, and to be a bigger part of that, I think, is wonderful for not just us, but for Carson City as well. Stu, you don't see him here. Why? He's at NTA this week, so National Tour Association Conference. So we've got motor coach operators from all around the country, I think Canada, China, some other countries around the world. He is taking the appointments today and tomorrow. I think we were at 31 or 32 appointments. And then he was actually invited to participate on a sales mission presentation. Everybody had 3 minutes. So he was with Las Vegas, Laughlin, Reno, Elko, and Lake Tahoe this morning as well, and doing a presentation. So I'm excited. I think this is a great opportunity. It's here in Reno. People were genuinely excited, to be here, and hopefully we can get some of these motor coaches and tour operators coming in. And then yesterday was our sightseeing tour. So we had the Capers in the Capitol, and it was just us. We didn't have to share, not that I don't love Carson Valley, but we didn't have to share our tour with Carson Valley. And I really want to thank personally our partners who made yesterday happen, because with the snow that came in Saturday night, the Virginia City tour was canceled due to the road conditions. So it was a mad dash scramble to reallocate those people that wanted to go to another tour. We ended up taking on 18 additional people. So we almost were going to a second bus because we had 51 people on the tour, which I think it's probably the most we've ever had from an NTA sightseeing tour here in Carson City. So Josh at the Nevada State Museum, along with the Friends of, we ended up with 2 tour guides yesterday. So I want to thank them for stepping up. And then on the Stewart front, Bobby, your peer, and Chris, the curator out there, they were amazing, kind of maneuvering to figure out how are we going to add another 11 people based on what we originally had projected, including our own staff. Dale Bennett did an amazing job with the lunch, to increase by 25% our count at the last minute. In the morning, I'm texting Bobby, oh my God. But they did an amazing job. And then I think last but not least, Mary Bennett, who, as you all know, does the Ghost Walk, she was our step-on guide. So one of the requirements, and this was a change with NTA, they wanted professional step-on guides, not some lackey like me coming on telling people all about Carson City and the road to get here. They wanted a professional guide. And Mary Bennett was just awesome. Stu said, and I heard comments last night as well about her performance on the bus. So again, hats off to all of our partners. Great positive feedback on that front. And then really, I just want to also say thank you to the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, because they actually paid for the transportation for all of these buses that took everybody out into the Reno Tahoe territory. And this wouldn't be possible, honestly, without the RSCVA doing that. So huge thanks, Art, Mike, and of course, Katie Demuth as well. They also, last night was the Icebreaker event that Stu and I were at the National Automobile Museum, and they allowed each of us to actually record our own video. And so all 6 DMOs were a part of, it was like a 24, 25-minute loop that 200 plus people were exposed to last night, where we each had the opportunity to talk about our respective destinations. We got our 30-second, I think, video in there, right, as well. So again, huge thanks to the RSCVA. So that's my short update. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, thanks for everybody pulling together. That's what we do. We turned it into an opportunity.
Absolutely. And it's going to be an incredible week for these guys. So, Okay, with no questions, Chair, I'll go ahead and move on to 10B, transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. So in your packet on the big sheet of paper, you will see July and August actuals. September was a huge month. I'm blown away, quite frankly, but we're going to come in about a little over 400,000 ahead of what we budgeted, and I think that's hats off to, again, our partners, hotels, for continuing to maintain the ADR. But we had a lot of wonderful events. September was a super busy month, and I think it brought some new people in, and the hotels are doing a great job managing the RevPAR and their ADR, and so that's the net effect of what September looked like. So that's my update on the lodging tax. We're tracking basically to budget, a little under a percentage point ahead of what we budgeted. And then as far as our fiscal 22 actual, we're projecting to be only off by negative 0.03%. So all in all, I would say pretty good through this first quarter. So if there are any questions on this report, I would be happy to answer them. Okay, if not, let's go ahead and move on to 10C, Arts and Culture Update. Deborah, take it away.
Deborah here. An update on activities in the arts and culture world in the last month or so. The Mark Twain mural is moving along. We have issued the call for proposals for the mural, which closes on the 30th November for submissions. And I'm happy to say we've already had inquiries from several artists who sound very interested in the project, and I expect that we will have some proposals received from them. So looking forward to seeing what transpires from that project. As you're aware, the Reno Tahoe Airport exhibition on the Stewart Indian School commenced on November 3rd and runs until the 1st of February. It's entitled "We Remember Your Sacrifices, You're Not Forgotten: The Story and Art of the Stewart Indian School." So this shows a collaboration between the Stewart Indian School, the Visit Carson City, the Nevada State Museum, and Great Basin artists. So we have quite a group of people who've all contributed to this. The exhibition consists of large format photographs, a wide assortment of artifacts from both museums, as well as historic and contemporary paintings and artwork from Great Basin artists. And there's a few images there on the slide of what some of the exhibition looks like. We've been extremely pleased with reactions that we've had, and even when we were hanging the show, really surprised at the number of people who stopped and took the time to actually read some of the text panels or to come up and ask us questions and wanting to know more about the school, where it is, and how they could get there. So it was really an interesting, challenging time hanging the exhibition because it's actually very large, but we're extremely pleased with the results. The Nevada State Museum presented a very successful Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, event in collaboration with the Western Nevada College and Visit Carson City on November 5th. Lots of festivities happening there. They included dance performances, craft activities, face painting, altar displays, a photo booth, and there was a very good turnout for the day, and it was a very successful celebration this year. The Mark Twain Days Festival planning continues to progress. We've now put together a sponsorship package for the festival, and we're going to be out there seeking sponsorships. Actually, I would have to say that we've already received a few sponsorships for it, so we're pretty pleased and excited about that. And there's also an increasing number of local groups and volunteers that have stepped forward to participate and to enrich some of the activities that we're planning for the festival, which I'm very excited about, including costumed participants and some Chautauquan performers who are going to be adding to some of our festival events. And there's also now going to be a strong literary component for the festival that involves collaboration with our local schools and with WNC. There's going to be literary workshops taking place during the week leading up to the festival that will draw visitors from outside of Carson City to participate in these sessions. Those sessions will explore various facets of Mark Twain's writing and how it can be incorporated into their work. And there's also going to be a poster competition for primary school students and a writing competition for high school students, college students, and adults, various categories. And the winning stories will be included in the festival program, and they will also be read during the festival on the Friday evening. We're going to give the writers, the winning writers, an opportunity to showcase their oratory skills and to tell their stories to an audience. And the winning stories, we were surprised about this. We acted on a hunch and contacted, I'm not sure if you're aware of the fact that there's an international Mark Twain journal. It's a scholarly journal published twice a year. We wanted to know if they'd be interested in publishing the winning story, and they wrote back enthusiastically they would like to publish all of the winning stories and the winning posters, and they asked for information about the festival itself. So that's tremendous for the festival, and it's also tremendous prize and motivation for aspiring writers. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Deborah, you might have said this already, but the artists that are applying for the Mark Twain mural, are they all local or is it a national?
It's a regional call,
Regional.
which means Northern Nevada, it can pick up some of the Californian artists in the region and statewide. So it's a limited call, and so far, we've had responses from all over the state.
Anyone? Board Member Rader?
Yeah, just like to thank all of our partners for the airport exhibit, including Visit Carson City and Nevada State Museum, Nevada Indian Commission, the Great Basin Native Artists Collective. As Deborah said, it was a huge space, and it was very challenging to try to figure out how to hang a show in a hallway. And we're really appreciative to the Reno Tahoe Airport for hosting this exhibit. It's great exposure. We've already had 3 groups of visitors who have come to the museum because they saw the display. So, and I can't thank Deborah and her husband enough because it was, sorry, I knew I was going to get emotional. They really stepped up, and I could not have done it without them. I'm so understaffed at our museum that I didn't have enough people to help, and so they really did a huge job, and I can't thank them enough.
No, that's wonderful. It's a great exhibition, and thanks to everyone who pulled together. Again, that's what we do in Carson, right? We help each other out. Anyone else? David?
Before we move on to Lydia's, and Bobby, thank you. Right, I know it's you and Chris over there, but you were our leader behind the scenes, and thank you to your husband for sure for figuring out the wiring and to hang all the images off those whatever those things are that you put the paintings on. So I think it's come out really nice, and I look forward to getting a behind the scenes tour, hopefully this week or next, with my friends at the RTIA. We're going to get some of us behind so we can actually see it in person. Otherwise I'll have to plan a trip somewhere, right, to get into the airport. So, but Zach's going to go, I think, with Deborah on Wednesday, and we will get high res, pictures and video and all that stuff, so we can get that on our website, share that back with you, Bobby, as well, to kind of blow this thing up. So, I think this is a huge opportunity, and I hope this is the first of many opportunities for Carson City and the airport. So we have the ability to catch a lot of people who are flying in and may or may not even leave Reno, or they might be going out 80 right up to the north side of Lake Tahoe and not even really come through Carson City, right? Even if it's via the bypass, right? So thank you to the 3 of you, including your amazing husband, Deborah, who I offered an unpaid internship to via email, just so you guys know. This was a test, right? He hasn't responded to me yet. So thank you, everybody.
I'd just like to add one more thing.
Yeah, please.
The airport at Reno is reorganizing their arts approach, I think that is, and they've set up a new committee. And one of our volunteers at Stewart is going to be on that committee. Her name is Lorraine Cook, and she'll be the native representative on that committee. So I look forward to more and really exciting artwork at the airport.
That's great. Yeah, maybe we can have some impromptu pop-ups, with local artists. That would be really cool. Awesome. Thank you again to all of you. Let's go ahead and move on to 10D, Marketing and Public Relations Update. Lydia, it's your show now.
Thank you. Got a few things on the agenda today. Speaking of the airport exhibit, we'll start there. So our first update is that the advertising at the airport is live. And these static ads actually will play in a video loop for 10 seconds at a time. So we strategically place these next to the art exhibit. And so people will be able to hopefully have a little bit more direction to Stewart Indian School, but also just learn more about the proximity and where we are from the airport through this ad as well. We're currently finalizing the downstairs baggage claim ad, which will launch December 1st. So we'll have some great exposure at the airport going into all the way through March and April.
Lydia, will you mention the QR code?
Yes, well, if you did not see the QR code on the ad, I don't have any stats for you on that yet because it just launched. So I'm hoping by next meeting we'll have some good ideas of whether or not the QR code worked or if it did not work, or if we need to maybe strategically place that somewhere else. So it's just a nice test to see if people are engaging with your ad. We don't expect a lot of people, a wild amount of people to use it, but it's just there just in case people want some more information. So this is really about awareness and just getting Stewart and Carson City out there in the world. Next, we'll jump into the PR report. October was a really strong month for us, and we've had some pretty incredible PR wins over the last few months, and we're really creeping up on our $500,000 annual publicity value. So we're getting pretty close to there, and we're excited to see that. So this month, we really focus more on events because obviously October is jam-packed with incredible events for Carson City. We did a big part of our exposure was we had 3 segments on Colo 8. Mary Bennett got on with Denise Wong for the Ghost Walk tours. I went on for Nevada Day, and then also a representative from the museum went on for the Day of the Dead celebration. So we had a lot of exposure locally because it's really what we're trying to do is bring people, bring awareness in the Reno Tahoe area that Carson City still exists, and it doesn't look like it did 20 years ago. And Denise Wong has been an incredible partner in reaching out to us as well to see what's going on in Carson City and giving us some great exposure. So we're really grateful to her for that. And then we also had 3 influencers come in for Nevada Day. 2 were returning from previous FAMs that we had done before. So that's Shelb Says, so that's Shelby Burns and Blue Bus Adventure. And then we also had the other Las Vegas come up so that we really had great exposure in the state. So I'll let you read through the various articles. These are really the top stories that came in. Again, the red means these are articles that we pitched, stories that we pitched internally. And I want to go more into the influencers here in the social media section. You may be asking why this is the 9,000-foot view. It's because we sent a team up in a hot air balloon for Nevada Day and went live from 9,000 feet. And it gives you a unique perspective of a lot of things. So I'm hoping over the next few meetings to segregate parts of our advertising so that I can do a deep dive in those sections for you. I hope that these bring value to you so that we understand some strategy behind us instead of just spewing numbers at you all the time. So this month, I wanted to go into more social strategies and what we're doing in social media so that we have more of a deep dive and can understand why we do what we do. And even though a lot of what we do is really fun, there's usually a strategy behind it. So we had the group of influencers come in over Nevada Day, and they really have been incredibly beneficial for us, influencers in general. So on this slide, I'm going to go through some of the points, but it's really to show that we're a small but mighty team and to pull off quality content, but more importantly, to create a community is one of the main reasons why we focus so heavily on social media. And that's also because 22% of our website traffic comes from our social media. So that's organic and unpaid. So we really use this as a one-on-one interaction with past, present, and potential visitors. And what a unique way to be able to do that. It's such a rarity that you get to engage like that. And our social channels have really become a community place to do that. So we respond to every comment, message, and repost as much quality user-generated content, photo or video, so that we create more raving fans and truly have a useful page from multiple different perspectives instead of just through the eyes of Zach and I. So influencers have helped in bringing to create awareness and gathering a unique point of view outside of the eyes of the office. And we have a lot of local fans. It's actually really common for a DMO, but they're our biggest champions. So it's important to cater to them as well. So our paid advertising is really focusing so much on our outside visitors and bringing them in, but our social media content is really made for both so that we're a useful tool so that engagement stays high on our page and we're continuing to reach other people outside of just the community. So that's really why that paid advertising is really important. Having a local content creation team and bloggers that we've utilized have allowed us to create content on the fly, and we've gathered some pretty stunning content because of that. And so focusing on a local blogger and getting people to also create content from their point of view has been incredibly beneficial in why we've grown so much in our social channels over the last couple of years. And we've really, to break down our different pillars of and different media outlets, we use social media as our personal tour guide of Carson City. We use YouTube as our commercial medium, paid search as the guide for booking a hotel and staying here in Carson City, Billboards are for awareness, and our OTAs like Expedia are for using as trackable revenue drivers, really driving room nights in Carson City. So I hope that gives a little insight to a peek behind the curtain of all the pretty pictures and video. But it's something that it takes a lot of time. So we want to make sure that we're doing it well, because creating that content is really fun, but also has a lot of strategy behind it. So these are our October social metrics for all of our social media combined. We focus most obviously on Instagram and Facebook. It's where a lot of our paid advertising is, but you can see in October alone, we had over 660,000 impressions, over 26,000 engagements, and 8,800 post link clicks. So those are people who are interested in more information. So you can see our total audience grew. But over the last 2 years, we've grown by 6,000 people in our total following and 3,000 people since 2021. So we are beginning to grow that audience in that community and create the raving fans that more people will talk about. So that is the deep dive into social, but I also mentioned our local blogger who has created some beautiful content for us. We use a lot of her blogs for our paid social posts. And she also goes out and does video content for us too for social. So I wanted to share some of her unique perspective in one of her posts. So just a little taste of obviously the joy that comes into what she does too. She just loves Carson City, and I think you can feel that in how she writes and the content that she creates. So any questions so far on that?
Would you say you respond to every?
We try.
Yeah, is it you and the PR team? Or is that just you?
I think I am the PR team as well, and happy to be. But yeah, I'm the one behind the social channels. I mean, we don't get a wild amount of comments. You know, we're not a massive page, but it's enough that the engagement is well felt. And we try to be funny and quirky and have a fun voice because we're a fun destination. We're a little sassy at times too. People are sassy to us, so in a tactful way. So we try to just make it fun and engaging and make it feel like you're a welcoming destination because it's meant to be social. And so if you're not being social with your community, then it just looks like you're paying to put all those pictures on there. Any other questions? All right. Well, our biggest influencers that we brought up, obviously, were the other Las Vegas. So it is a huge goal of mine to make Nevada Day a statewide celebration again. Something that I've been thinking about since I started here, because I think experiencing Nevada Day for the first time is really a one-of-a-kind feeling. And I've seen this now with 4 or 5 different people that we brought in for Nevada Day for the first time. And it's a special event. And so I think that if we can bring awareness to that, we can really make this weekend a massive one for Carson City, because right now it's local. It's almost all local. And I think that we could really fill our hotel rooms with this event. So I'm hoping this is kind of the first step in doing so. So we use it part of our influencer budget to bring up the other Las Vegas. And they created some really fun content. And they're also doing a YouTube video for us, which is something we haven't done yet. So we are excited to see what else they create. But their post alone got 81,000 impressions, reached 40,000 people. And these posts you can see have, massive amount of likes. I think they ended up with about 1,000 likes on this post as of today, and over quite a few thousand views on this reel. So. Too much video. So you can see here, they did a couple different posts. One was a reel, one was a sliding post, carousel post. So just some unique content. You can see the captions on the right talking about their experience in Carson City, and one for Nevada Day. So we wanted them to really be able to showcase both, so that it was reusable content as well. Now, we also brought in Shelby Burns in addition to Blue Bus Adventure. So Shelby lives up in Truckee on Donner, and we've worked with her before, and she's created some wonderful content. She's got about 41,000 followers on TikTok, in addition to about 15,000 on Instagram. And TikTok is a mammoth of a social platform. And I don't even know if I would really call it a social media channel, more as much as it is a media channel. People are spending a movie's worth of time on this app daily. And so they are just consuming video. And what's really fun, quote unquote, for a brand is that typical, beautiful, curated content don't do well at all. So they want the gritty behind the scenes or point of view from what they would look like shooting this video with their iPhone. So when we run an ad that looks like our commercial, it doesn't play well on Instagram or on TikTok. So the strategy, and I've gone to so many sessions on this in some of the conferences that I've gone to, is whitelisting ads. So that means we're partnering with Shelby to come here to create content that's really more of like a vlog point of view, helpful kind of content that gives you an insider view into what it's like to travel here. And so what we do is we put money behind the content that she's created. We share that on our page, and then it also just boosts that ad so that it's shown to more people and looks like it doesn't even look like an ad. It's really just kind of a seamless transition that pops up on your feed in hopes that it's good enough to make them stop the thumb and watch what we've got. So she does once a month for us. So she posts on Instagram and on TikTok. And this was our first ad that we did with her. We only put about $250 behind it because this is kind of a new strategy. So we're hopefully in budgeting for next year, we'll have a little bit more clout for TikTok, because I think this is going to perform really well. So her TikTok ad got about 65,000 views and quite a bit of engagement. And the same one on Instagram got about 11,500 views. You can see here what this little that little paper plane looks like, means that 64 people sent this to their friends and 51 people saved it for later. So people are really resonating with this content. So I wanted to give you a taste of what that
Must-go
looks like.
places in Lake Tahoe and Carson City before the end of fall. We all know that adventures are better if they're started with some coffee, so I highly recommend going to Kama Coffee for breakfast. Also, their patio is amazing to sit outside in during this time of year. It's definitely worth taking a stroll downtown Carson City, and this weekend they're going to be in their prime, just in time for Nevada Day. Carson River Park has a beautiful walking trail along the Carson River, and it is full of cottonwood trees. They're just starting to turn yellow, so I believe by this weekend and next week they're going to be at their peak. And in just a short drive, you can go to Spooner Lake, which has some of the best aspen groves in the Tahoe and Carson City area. Here are 3...
So just a little bit different kind of view than what you're used to. TikTok has up to a 3-minute plus format now, so you can tell a story in a short amount of time. So any questions on that? All right. We had a massive, by massive, I mean, we had a really great month when it came to paid content on social media. We had 5,700 landing page views in October. We did a ad that promoted all of our fall blogs that we've created between KPS3 and our local blogger Shelby, and 2,000 of those were from those blog posts, and 3,400 landing page views came from this ad alone from September through October. So we had almost 500,000 impressions, 193,000 people reached. Our click-through rate was 3.25% when the average click-through rate for travel is 0.9. And our nostalgia campaign continues to perform really well. It's driven over 1,100 landing page views to the website and 29,000 post engagements since July for the video and carousel ads. So I was very happy to see that. And speaking of our commercial, we just wrapped up our streaming OTT campaign. So we did this in kind of the last 3 months. So in Sacramento and San Francisco is where we delivered the streaming TV ads for a total of about 430,000 impressions, reaching about 300,000 people. And the completion rate of the view is almost 100% of those people saw that, all 30 seconds of that ad. It has to play for all 30 seconds. So, and you can see the two bottom boxes are where all of those ads played. So Lifetime, NBA, Sci-Fi, Sundance, AMC, and the list goes on. So really quality networks as well. Lifetime reaching obviously probably a lot of women, so who are our trip planners. So we were happy to see that as well. So hotel beds, we are almost finished with that campaign. We have one more month to go. This was a really interesting learning experience for us because we did this as also to drive room nights, but also this is a B2B campaign. So this is in front of travel agents booking hotels in Carson City. So I don't know if we would call this a wildly successful amount of room nights, 175. But what this was great awareness with travel agents that we have never had before. So I really think this is building up the sales side of what we do. So I wouldn't call it unsuccessful. We're not sure if we're going to participate in this again, but we'll see if the other co-ops arise and see how this goes. But I think this was great awareness and is in that kind of space. So. And we have new content coming. So part of our grant process was getting fall and winter content to swap out for our commercial so that we can use it for the next couple of years. This is a shot from the Cap to Tahoe Trail. And we have some incredible footage from the Railroad Museum that we just shot last Thursday. So we hope to have more of that by next meeting. And hopefully in the next couple months, a new commercial to show you as well, just depending on where we end up getting some of this winter footage. So that's exciting. And then Zach put together a great video again with Yelp Reno. We had, just a reminder, you saw the Scoops video. TJ's Corner Cafe was also on the list of their top 25 for 2022. And then also Villa Basque, which we haven't shot yet. But this was just a heartwarming video. And we love TJ and Chuck over at TJ's Corner Cafe. So I hope you enjoy this too.
From farmers market to full-blown brick and mortar, you can taste Nevada's only Indonesian cooking right here inside Cactus Jack's Casino in Carson City, Nevada at TJ's Corner Cafe, one of Yelp's top 25 restaurants to eat at in Reno, Tahoe.
My name is TJ. I'm a co-owner of TJ's Corner Cafe. I learned cooking since I was a kid. I just watch people doing it and I learned how to make sauces. It's my passion just to cook. TJ's Corner itself started as a food stall at Carson City Farmers Market. Having a place to sell Indonesian food, it's always been my dream since I was a kid. While I was at Farmers Market, somebody just came to me and told me that Cactus Jack was having opening for the new vendors. And as soon as we opened this restaurant, I know this is my life.
My name is Chuck. I'm the co-owner here at TJ's Corner Cafe here in Carson City. We have an ethos of hospitality here, and that particularly comes from Indonesian culture, and that is a whole philosophy of kindness and hospitality. The people that have come to us have just fallen in love with us. So that Yelp named us as one of the top 25 restaurants. Wow.
If you haven't been to TJ's Corner Cafe, you may try mie goreng or nasi goreng or drunken noodles. Those are our 3 top selling and they are really good, spicy.
So my 3 favorite things on the menu, I love the golden curry here, and then I love the pineapple chicken. TJ created that. And then of course, I love our hamburgers, and our hamburger got 3rd place in the All-City competition here this last year. So I was very proud of that, and we make a good hamburger here. You definitely have to try one of the Indonesian specialties. So I would say rendang, or if you want a real street food experience, you must try the nasi goreng, which is Indonesian style fried rice.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much for your support. We love to see our new friends here at TJ's Corner Cafe. Nasi goreng is waiting for you.
From the traditional Indonesian dish nasi goreng to the East meets West fusion of the rendang dog, you can find it all here at TJ's Corner Cafe inside Cactus Jack's Casino in Carson City, Nevada, one of Yelp's top 25 restaurants to eat at in Reno, Tahoe.
So just a fun recap of that. I think they did an awesome job on that video. So just kudos to Zach and Michael and the TJ's crew over there. Last on the docket is our road trip kits, which you've had a chance to peruse through, and you've seen here on the presentations before. But so far, the responses have been overwhelmingly positive to our road trip kits. So one journalist is filling out a fan form, and another posted about the kits on her Facebook page. She was so excited, and never having to travel to Carson City and based in Henderson, she's keeping us on the radar for future opportunities. We also got a huge lead from a journalist who has written for some incredible publications. That is Nicole has been after for honestly since she started on our account, and he said that he is interested in looking to come the week before Christmas. So we are excited and hope that that comes through. So obviously they're working really well. We sent out about 15 kits to journalists and media all over the country, and they're doing exactly what we intended them to do. So thank you for being patient with that long one. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions from the board?
Thank you very much.
No? Good presentation.
Thank you, Lydia. I'm so glad she's doing all this TikTok and Instagram and Reels. I've learned more about this stuff in the last month and a half from Lydia than I probably care to, but she's been very good at breaking it down and allowing someone who doesn't do social media to understand it. So
I thought the way you were dancing to the music, you're doing your own TikTok.
that's my own 30-second TikTok. Yeah, you just have to work the hips and the shoulders, Chair. That's really all it's about.
Fair, fair. I should have been that thoughtful about it. It just wasn't. But I do have to commend David because I think I'm really grateful for someone who is not active in social media at all to be open to letting us do what we need to do. I think that's kind of a rarity. So thank you for allowing us to be creative, because I think it's allowed us to really do some pretty amazing stuff over the last few years. So.
Right on. We're going to keep pushing with Lydia at the helm here, so I'm excited for what's
It's a
to come.
social world.
It is.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to keep up with because it changes all the time. So it's a large part of our job, but we try to repurpose everything we can in multiple ways so that it's not taking over everything. But it's a fun part of it too.
That's a good point, how we're able to reuse, repurpose, so we're not trying to shoot 47 different types of something.
Yeah.
We shoot something and then we can slice and dice it to use it for the different paid or organic medium. So yeah,
Yeah.
me and Zach are doing a really good job at that.
Yeah, we're lucky to
being
have
very
Zach.
efficient with our monies when it comes to the production side.
They do. TikTok is its own world and beast. Yeah, and it's what most people are planning their trips on now. It's its own search engine. So you type in any destination or travel tips or whatever it might be, and if you're in that space, you better have a video that qualifies for that. And it's easy to go viral, so it's really fun for people to go in and create content. So it's all about trends and keeping up with hashtags, and it's a lot, but it's not going to go away. And I think it's going to take over not that far from now, if it already has, to be honest.
My offer is always there, Lydia. Anytime you want to give me the username and password.
Maybe that's how we go viral.
Yeah.
We'll
just give me one weekend. I think I can turn our fortunes around here in Carson City. Thank you for that. If there are no further questions, we'll move on to 10E, future agenda items. Does anyone from the board have anything they would like to see on next month's agenda? Okay, seeing nothing. We will move on to 10F, upcoming meetings. So our next meeting will be right here in this room, Monday, December 12th. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the exploits of the fall photo video drone shoot. So I think you're going to be blown away. I got a little tease this morning and I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. So I'm excited for that. So with that, Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, David. Moves us on to item 11. Any board comments or announcements or requests for information? Board Member Rader?
I'd just like to acknowledge that this is Native American Heritage Month, and I don't know if the airport planned the exhibit for this time of year, but it worked out very well. And we also have a new exhibit at our Great Basin Native Artist Gallery on powwow regalia, so if anybody wants to celebrate this month by coming to the museum, we have lots to share. Thank you.
Anyone else? With that, move on to item 12, public comment. I don't see any, so that takes us to our last duty, and that's to adjourn. If I can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.